Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Dine. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a great day and above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome back to the channel Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Going well, Armando. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, you old curmudgeon. All right,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, Ken and I are back with another series of episodes on Band Spotlight. In our first set of episodes for Band Spotlight, we took a look at the short but potent discography of One Tears for Fears. We are coming back at you with another list of albums from a band that are considered potent, influential, just legendary. That band is Led Zeppelin. Uh, Now, with Tears for Fears, we went all over the map. We did not go chronologically. With this list of albums, we are going to be coming at you chronologically. Uh, just a bit about Led Zeppelin. Forming in 1968, uh, they have released nine studio albums, eight albums of original material, one album of unreleased tracks, that being Coda, released in 1982. But there is a bit of a background with regards to the formation of Led Zeppelin, and I'm going to give that to you. Led Zeppelin were formed out of the ashes of the Yardbirds. Now, the Yardbirds have included such members as Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and one Jimmy Page. Now, with regards to the formation of Led Zeppelin, this is how it went. The Yardbirds were on tour in Europe, and slowly but surely, members of the band were leaving the group as the tour went on. At the end of this European tour, Jimmy Page was the only remaining band member left. And dealing with the fact that he had a tour booked of Scandinavia that he had to fulfill, or they would have lost a lot of money. He quickly put a band together and toured under the name the New Yardbirds. Okay, he quickly looked around for new members to join. Well, he quickly snatched up legendary session player John Paul Jones, known for his work with such musicians as Tom Jones, Donovan, just to name a couple. And then he also Jimmy Page, sorry, also said about looking for a lead vocalist and a drummer. Well, he found this individual by the name of Robert Plant, who was in a band called the Band with Joy. Through Robert Plant, uh, Jimmy Page quickly recruited one John Bonham, who was a friend of Robert Plant's. The band quickly uh, got together and rehearsed. The first song that they rehearsed together as the New Yardbirds was Train Kept a Rollin'. And all four band members said that the minute they played that song in the rehearsal space, they knew that this was going to work. Okay. So they set out on their tour of Scandinavia. The tour was a resounding success. And then the band decided to form under a new name and uh, get a recording deal. They signed a recording deal with Atlantic Records. Now, Ahmet Ertegun, head of Atlantic Records in the US, heard that Jimmy Page was putting together a brand new band, and from as legend has it, signed the band sight unseen
Mhm.
for something like, and can I believe, I don't know if you can help me with this, but signed them for a sum of $250,000. They had as a manager Peter Grant. Now, Peter Grant in the music circles was larger than life.
Yes.
Uh, not above the occasional intimidation tactics in terms of getting what he needed for his artists. But once they signed the deal with Atlantic Records, One of the deals, one of the stipulations of the contract was that they wanted a worldwide record deal with Atlantic Records. The only territory that they were not signed to Atlantic was France, where they were signed to Barclay Records. They released their debut album, Led Zeppelin, otherwise known as Led Zeppelin 1, and the rest, they say, is history. Not to go into some of the details of Led Zeppelin 1, as I get my notes here, because I'm old and I need my notes. Led Zeppelin 1 was released originally on January 20th, 1969. It was recorded from September to October of 1968. A total time of recording was the total time of recording, sorry, for this album was 36 hours. It was recorded piecemeal, basically, at a cost of £1,702, paid for by Jimmy Page and Peter Grant. £1,702 is the equivalent of £25,900 as of 2025. Now, a little bit more information on the album. This was one of the first albums, sorry, to be released in stereo only. Now, back in the 60s, albums were released in both mono and stereo formats. The album, again, released through Atlantic Records, upon release, reached number 10 in the US charts, number 11 in the Canadian charts, and number 6 in the UK charts. So this thing was a monster hit across the board. Now, there was one single released from the album, that single being Good Times, Bad Times, the lead off track from the album, backed by Communication Breakdown. Okay. Now, this album is known for its bombast, its powerhouse playing, also for its variety. In that, featured on the album, you have Viram Jasani playing tabla on the track Black Mountainside. Okay, now there are 9 tracks on the album. The album has a total playing time of 44 minutes and 45 seconds. And I gotta say, in interviews discussing the impact of this album, artists such as Ozzy Osbourne has said that when the first Led Zeppelin album was released, he saw it as a breath of fresh air for its heaviness, its bombast, its willingness to, sorry, to go to levels that other albums failed to go to. I mean, you had other albums at the time released by the Jimi Hendrix Experience, or you experienced Access, Bold as Love, Electric Ladyland. But this album, for some reason, just had a potency to it, a bombast to it that didn't exist prior to that. So, before I give my opinion on this album, Ken, what is your history with Led Zeppelin and Zeppelin 1?
This wasn't my first Led Zeppelin album. In high school, my first Led Zeppelin album was Physical Graffiti, which is a very interesting album, to cut your teeth on. I was familiar with Zeppelin 4 at the time because it was just all over the place. Stairway to Heaven was just, yeah, it was incredibly huge at the time.
Yeah.
But I bought Physical Graffiti because it was a double album, and I had a trick at the time of not losing money on the Columbia House Record Club,
Okay.
and it counted as one credit, double album. And that's just one of the same reasons my first Yes album was Yes Songs. 3 albums for one credit. So I was trying to milk them for all I could. But anyway, I love
Understandable.
physical. Yeah, I love Physical Graffiti. Um, after high school, um, my next Led Zeppelin purchase was the 4 disc anthology box set. The 12-inch uh,
The
box set with the yellow, the anthology,
pizza box.
the pizza box, and that's what really caught my attention. So it's like, okay, physical graffiti was not a fluke. And then after that, soon after that, I bought the first box set of the complete albums, that brown cube, and that was it. I was sold. So yeah, then I went back and started from the beginning and just kept going straight through. This is one of Led Zeppelin is one of my favorite bands to play while I'm reading for some reason. It's just
Okay.
there are books and and even comic books that when I hear the album, it reminds me of those books because I was just listening to Led Zeppelin continuously while I was
Mhm.
reading in the
Mhm.
90s. But yeah, that's it. Um what was your intro to Led Zepp?
My brother-in-law at the time, Maria, my well, because he'd bring over albums,
Yeah.
stacks of albums to listen to. And one of the albums was Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh, okay.
So I listened to that and I was like, what am I hearing? And again, at 9, 10 years old, you don't know what you're listening to.
Yeah.
It was just so powerful. I, in earnest, got into Led Zeppelin in my teens,
Okay. Yeah.
15, 16. And I listened to Zeppelin 2, Zeppelin 3, Zeppelin 4, Houses of the Holy.
Yep.
And then I went back and listened to Zeppelin 1. So I was all over the map. And originally I couldn't make heads or tails of it
Okay.
because I thought, okay, this doesn't sound like Zeppelin 2. This doesn't sound like What I Love. What is this? It doesn't register with me. However, in 1987, they released a video of Dazed and Confused,
Right.
released through Sony Music Entertainment. And it just blew me off the couch. I was just like, what is this?
Was it just a music video or was it live?
It was a live
Oh,
piece of them doing
okay.
Dazed and Confused, released through Sony Music. For some reason, Sony Music got the rights to distribute this video. And I just remember Jimmy Page standing there. First of all, Robert Plant standing there strutting in like a mustard colored shirt. And Jimmy Page standing there in a leather jacket
Mhm.
with the Dragon Telecaster Fender guitar, and and those notes, well, days, those bass
Yeah.
notes, boom, boom,
Boom,
boom,
boom,
boom, and it's like,
boom,
and
boom.
and him just sort of plucking at the guitar, bringing out those notes,
Yes.
and I'm like, okay, what is this? What is this? And Robert Plant just coming out full throated, just like what, like a dragon, just like screaming. The way he did
Yeah.
that, just that passionate pitch he had. I thought, okay, I'm done. I'm done. And then the bit with the bow when he did the bow
Oh yeah.
and the midsection,
Yeah.
and it was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay. So I go back and listen but then I don't even listen to this album yet. I grab a copy of The Song Remains the Same, the soundtrack, where side two is all of Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
26 minutes and change of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? So finally, I sit down and listen to the album. And I'm not going to say it's lo fi, but there is limitations you can hear in the recording.
Yeah.
But just the way the album starts with good times, bad times, that, those heavy guitar riffs that come out, and then the drums, and it
Hmm.
just kicks into the track, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is not anything I've ever heard before. And it was just like, oh my God, this is just so different, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was just pulled in for the rest of the album. I have all my notes for the songs that we can talk about.
Sure.
But I mean, like, for good times, bad times, that's a hell of a 2 minutes and 45 seconds,
I'm sure.
you know.
And the thing about it is, I after I got the box set, which is the first time I had a copy of this, I listened to it. It's like, okay, cool, solid album. Um, and then I got, I don't know, a wild hair up my butt and decided to look and see, okay, what else
Okay.
was releasing at the time? What else was on the radio? What was
Yeah.
contemporary for that?
Yeah.
And then I realized after doing that, it just starts off, but then the drums, with those offbeats and whatever, and with the
Yeah.
cowbell. I'm
Yeah.
thinking that is nothing like, I mean, I'm sure there were some exceptions, but it's like that was nothing like what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
How mind blowing would that have been?
Yeah.
And then listening to it, the whole album in context. And then, yeah, I mean, good times, bad times, less than 3 minutes, and automatically out of the gate, all four members have dialed up their abilities up to more than 10, probably 12, 13, 15.
Yeah.
Um, and listen to, what they're doing. And they're not starting off slow. They're not starting off easy and building. It's just boom, you know, 2 minutes. And I think it's great that it's only 2 minutes and 45 because it shows how much they can pack in to less than 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, even that guitar solo,
Oh, yeah.
he just comes out of the gate blistering, just
Yeah.
like, and, panning left and right and
Yes.
just using the full scope of stereo
Yeah.
on that track. It's just like nothing like I've ever heard,
Yeah.
and then they segue into, Babe, I'm gonna leave you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, and a lot of that song is acoustic guitar.
Yep.
In my notes, I have here, masterful acoustic guitar, wall of guitars in terms of the left and right channel,
Yeah.
just sort of enveloping you, and then you have those soaring vocals,
Hmm.
and how intricate the acoustic guitar passages actually are, overlapping one another, and the haunting backing vocals,
Yeah.
and then the wind down of the song, and that's when the acoustic guitar comes in.
Yeah.
The electric guitar, sorry, just
Yeah.
used very
At 2:23.
sparingly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very sparingly. You know, but again, nothing was like this. Nothing was out. Start again. Only coffee in the cup. Nothing out there at the time was like this.
Yeah.
This one track, and I should say, Pink, in her tour of Australia in 08, 09, did a version of Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, verbatim, just like the album. Like, amazingly done. And then, I mean, the album is a combination of original material and covers.
Yeah.
There are a couple of covers here from Willie Dixon.
Hmm.
You Shook Me
Hmm.
is next. Whoa. I mean, John Bonham
Oh yeah.
as a drummer, heavy-handed beyond belief. You know, I could see him breaking about maybe like five or six snare drum heads during recording
Yeah.
for this album, you know. Um, but I'll shut up for a bit. You talk. Go ahead.
You know, going from good time, bad times, um, real strong opener, and then the next thing starts off with just acoustic guitar. That might have been a little bit misleading, on first listen back then. But like
Yeah.
I said, it only lasts for 2 minutes and 20 seconds before okay, here we go. But the great thing about it is that acoustic guitar playing, it's it's got heavy reverb on it. So it's a little bit spectral, just kind of haunting.
Yeah.
And of course what he does, later on into that too, just adds to that
Hmm.
slide crescendo that goes into it later on. But uh but yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks. This is one what I consider uh, a standard on this album because, with the exception, I think, of three songs, maybe all the other songs are over 6 minutes
Yeah.
or close to it.
Yeah. So it's quite a
So,
lengthy
which
album. Yeah.
which won't be the case for the second album, but that's okay. Um, it just goes to show that, in addition to showing what they could do, they didn't play it safe by just doing short 45, possible, singles type of
Yeah.
thing. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, and that acoustic guitar with that reverb is just kind of haunting. The thing about this album, um, you refer to the term lo-fi,
Hmm.
and I know what you're saying. What occurs to me is there's not quite as much um, overdubs on this album as they would do later.
No.
Not as many layered guitars, so it's got a little bit more breath in there, a little bit more air. It's got more of
A
uh,
sparse
a
feel.
live feel
Yeah. More
to it,
sparse.
and
Hmm.
which is, it's fantastic. Yeah, and then going into the Willie Dixon, "You Shook Me," just that
Oh.
slow, smoldering blues track,
Oh my
and
God.
um, and it just reminds me of how much the British in the late 60s were absolutely embracing American blues,
Yeah.
more so than even your average or casual music listener in the US.
Hmm.
It's been documented many times. There's a lot of US musicians that had never really heard American blues until they heard the British doing it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, and they were scrambling in England to get these, Willie Dixon albums and all of that because they were hard to get hold of. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, the "You Shook Me," it starts off, unless you're paying attention, you won't hear it. But at the beginning, an organ background that's very subtle. There will be a
Yeah.
solo that comes in a little bit later.
Yeah.
But that organ that John Paul Jones does at the beginning lays a really nice foundation
Oh yeah.
uh,
Definitely.
for what's going on. And it was a long time before I realized that that's Robert Plant on harmonica. That's some
Yeah.
pretty darn good harmonica playing right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, because I personally I don't think blues harmonica is easy to do.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. And like the heavy-handed drums that
Hmm.
come in, it's just like John Bonham plays like a monster.
Sure. Well, and
And
also, Jimmy Page was before joining the Yardbirds was a primarily a session player.
yeah,
So apparently he was really paying attention when he was doing those session gigs, as far as recording.
yeah,
For a first time producer on these Led Zeppelin albums,
yeah,
that's absolutely amazing. You
yeah,
talk about he many of us talk about, with the Beatles and the use of technology. Yeah, Page was doing it. The panning back and forth, the layering, when to use reverb and when not to,
yeah.
and to really capture that live sound.
Hmm.
And he knew how to mix drums. He knew how to record and mix those drums properly.
Hmm. I would agree. I would
Yeah,
agree. Yeah, I mean, and then it segues into Dazed and Confused. Now, Dazed and Confused has a bit of a checkered past in terms of who wrote it. Originally, it was believed that it was a composition by Page, but it wasn't. If you look at the notes, the liner notes, it says inspired by Jake Holmes. So the original idea for the song came from Jake Holmes, and Page used the riff and built the song around it.
yeah,
Now, Dazed and Confused for me is the centerpiece of the album.
sure,
Ends off side one,
sure,
6 minutes and 27 seconds.
yeah,
That heavy bass riff intro that is so recognizable now. The fact that they're panning little simple guitar notes, like little flourishes
yeah,
left and right. Uh, you know, and how the song builds and builds and builds. And then Robert Plant comes in with a soaring vocal delivery. Been dazed and confused so long, it's not true.
yeah,
Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talk, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below. It's like, whoo,
yeah.
and it's like, and then it just launches into the eerie,
Hmm.
over the top guitar riff that
Yeah,
comes in. And it's like, whoa, what am I hearing? Gonna love you, woman. Here I come again. Boom, boom, like just that heavy,
sure.
those guitar crashes that come in, those chord crashes. And it's like, my mind is blown listening to this. And it was just so unique
Yeah,
and so opposite of what was happening musically,
yeah.
right? And then they go into that metal section where
That
he
psychedelic.
uses,
Yeah.
yeah, that psychedelic haunting midsection with the use of the bow.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh God. And years later, when the Tea Party would open for Page and Plant um, in Montreal, uh, Jeff Martin tells a story how he was using on one of their songs, Save Me, how he uses the bow in
Yeah.
the midsection. And after their set, uh, one of the roadies comes and says, Mr. Page would like to talk to you. And he's like,
Oh crap.
oh shit, I'm in trouble. So he goes back to the dressing room. And then Page says, oh yes, Jeff, yeah, I love what you're doing. I love, like, the fact that you're using the bow. And I love your set. And you know how you use the bow and Save Me? How did you get those high notes
Yeah.
to come through? Because I never could really get that to happen on
Hmm.
my songs.
Hmm.
And he's like, oh, Jesus Christ. He goes, okay, I'm just safe. I'm not in trouble, right? But you could see, okay, the influence is there.
Yeah.
I mean, with bands like the Tea Party. But Dazed and Confused ends off side one. So with side
Yeah,
one, you've got Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, You Shook Me, and Dazed and Confused.
incredible.
Four, how can I put this? Shots from a cannon
Hmm.
that just knock you right off your ass,
Hmm.
right? And you think, how the hell can they improve on this?
Yeah,
Do they improve? I'll leave that up to you to decide, Ken. Um, Side two, what is your view?
I don't, man, I've been living with this album for so long.
Give it your best
Um,
shot.
to me, it's uh, to me, it is a perfect album. Uh, you open up with "Your Time Is Gonna Come." Got kind of a folky feeling to it. It opens up with that incredible organ work by Jones
Yeah,
and gives it almost a little bit of a gospel feel in
yeah,
there, and it shifts into rock. And here is the first time we hear Page play this pedal steel guitar.
yeah,
So it's like, oh, okay, this is another flavor
yeah.
to this,
And
and oh,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
catchy chorus. It's almost impossible, not to sing along with this song.
Yeah. I mean, just that flood of multiple organ passages.
Oh yeah,
Excuse me. That start. And then how the band don't come in until like a
yeah,
minute four into the song.
which is very unusual at the time. Uh, it was very unusual to have long intros to songs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They did
And
what they
then,
wanted to do.
oh, from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
And then it segues into Black Mountainside, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Use of a great acoustic guitar passage on that piece, and the use of tabla.
Yes.
Who in contemporary rock was using tabla as a featured instrument
Yeah.
on any recording that at that time?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, yeah, it's that influence of folk and Indian music again. That he would visit many more times after that.
Hmm.
Um, it's a great little. Um, it's almost like a great little palate cleanser. Plus, it gets to show off um, what Page could do with just a guitar. And the thing about it is one thing I like about Page's playing in general is that he's not always the cleanest player. You can find these little mistakes or a fingering that doesn't, quite come through. Um, and that's happened on a couple of tracks on this album. In that I've read that he kept it that way. He said
Okay.
that he kept those little very subtle mistakes, and to give it, he felt it gave it a relatable, kind of a human sound and feel to it. Um, the Zeppelin 3 gets a lot of flack for how much acoustic work is on that. There's
Yeah.
really quite a bit on this, on one and two also,
Yeah.
to be objective. Um, yeah, it's a nice little breather amongst all the heaviness that's come so far.
Hmm.
Because oh, because of what comes up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's referring to Communication Breakdown, the B side to Good Times, Bad Times. A potent 2 minutes and 26 seconds. In my notes, I just have here straightforward rocker, strong vocal delivery from Robert Plant, just right out of the gate. That the guitar riff that starts it, and just like I can't even describe it. It's just a straightforward go for the throat rocker.
Yeah.
Um, and then track four is I Can't Quit You, Baby, another Willie Dixon track.
Mhm.
4 minutes and 41 seconds. In my notes I got here, heavy bass, thick guitar tone and great cymbal crashes on that piece. Uh, your take on that track?
Yes. A quick step back to communication breakdown. For
Yeah,
me, this is the opposite of Dazed and Confused. It's short, it's concise,
to the point.
it's simple. It the only way that it's not different is that yeah, it's just catchy as all heck. You know, it's a very, very simple and relentless riff
Yeah.
that they're doing. Also, it's one of the rare Zeppelin tracks that has background vocals. I don't mean harmonies, but an actual separate
Background vocal. Yeah,
background vocals.
yeah.
You rarely, rarely did that. Okay, I Can't Quit You, Baby. Ugh. I love Led Zeppelin's blues stuff. You know, a lot of people look at this album and the first thing they go to is, oh, they stole this from there. They stole this from it. I don't care. It's, you know, what they do with it is just really good. Let the lawyers deal with that other stuff. Um,
Exactly.
you know, it's a slow blues. It's got a really great call and response between Plant's vocals and Page's guitar. Uh, and this is one where there you can tell a little bit of fingering mistakes in Page's work, but it's just like that's okay. Um, the one of the strengths of Led Zeppelin uh, as a whole is the way that Page and Bonham work together. Usually the drums are stick very closely to the bass,
Yeah, rhythm. Yeah, as a rhythm
but
section.
Bonham would always play with Page, which is what gave those rhythmic the strong rhythmic strikes
Yeah.
because he was matching up what Page was doing on guitar, and that's what gives it a special. So when you take that and Bonham's bombast, you know, his just the monster drumming, uh, re-emphasizing and backing up the the rhythm strikes on guitar
Yeah,
is what makes it so strong.
yeah. I
And
agree.
so that's fascinating because it was rare back then, and it's still somewhat rare now, unless you look at a band like The Who, which you know the three musicians were just doing their own thing. They weren't
Hmm.
trying to play
Hmm.
together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is just such a good track. Um, the amazing thing about this album, there's so many songs that are um, 5 and 6 minutes long, but they feel so short.
I know. I know. And then
And
the sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no,
Then the album ends off with How Many More Times? 8 minutes and 28 seconds.
hmm
Holy shit. I mean, it starts with that swinging bass line.
yep,
Doom, 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 doom,
and that
doom,
ride
doom,
cymbal
doom. Oh,
from the
yeah.
drummer.
And it's those massive drum fills
Yeah,
that come in. The blistering guitar soloing that comes in on this, and the slight use of bow on the breakdown section that he does. Oh my God. And then you've got Robert Plant coming in with his soaring, gravelly vocal, just, going for broke,
yeah,
right? And there is video of them in black and white doing this on their first European tour, shot on video. And if I can find it, I'm going to put it in the description below as a link. Um, the bombast,
yeah,
the the willingness to go all over the place musically with this piece, the sheer brazen, just over the top
yeah.
vocal of Robert Plant. and the willingness just to say, you know what, we're going to throw everything in there and we don't care what the hell happens. And it works.
Yeah, and it's really great. They get into that midsection where they go for 16 bars or whatever, a bolero style
Yeah.
rhythm,
Yeah.
which obviously I think of Jeff Beck and the connection there.
Yeah. Of
And
course. Of course.
oh yeah, and
You know
because
what?
it starts off so different. It starts off, really kind of steady, a little bit different from all the other songs so far. So you're
Yeah.
not really quite sure where it's gonna go. And oh, when it goes, it goes.
Yeah. And that midsection where Robert Plant says, starts singing, they call me the hunter,
Yeah.
like just over the top, just like in your face.
Mhm.
And they go into another breakdown section, and then
Yep.
he comes in with that soaring vocal over the top, just like, and then it leads back into the main riff.
Yep.
It
Yep.
is, oh my God. I mean, I'm just imagining his throat bleeding at the end of the recording because he's just so in your face
Uh-huh.
and strong. This album from track one to track nine does not let up. On the 2014 remaster reissue, which is what I have, big surprise, CD2 is them playing at the Royal Albert Hall in October of 69. 8 tracks. It's a 71-minute disc with a 15-minute version of Dazed and Confused and a 10-minute version of How Many More Times. So the improv element was already coming into play
Sure.
for the band. And it's, yeah, I mean, and there's one thing that should be noted too, quickly, and then I will shut up. Zeppelin had a rule: no singles. Very few markets were allowed to issue singles. Good Times, Bad Times was a single. Immigrant Song from Zeppelin 3 was a single. But what would happen, if I remember correctly reading, was that the record company would issue a single, Peter Grant would hear about it and stop it, due to the fact that the band wanted the audience to hear the albums in their entirety
Yeah.
and not just singles. So there was always that push and pull between management and the record company, who was going to do what, like how are we going to promote them if we don't,
Yeah.
if we can't have a single. Well, in the end the band ended won out because the albums were a success right out of the gate. Do you have anything more to add, or?
It's it's one of my favorite debut albums. Even though I didn't really discover it till years later. If I'm not sure at the time,
Yeah,
um, of course, I wasn't born until '59, so I would have been a little kid when it came out. I wouldn't have gotten it. I think discovering this in my 30s, uh, I think my brain was developed enough to really be able um, to hear it for what it is and appreciate it.
yeah,
Before then, maybe not. I don't know. But regardless, um, there's a lot of big legendary bands, or at least several, that I came to discover later in life,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, that's all right, because instead of just only one album being available, I got 8 or 12 available.
For a
I can
penny.
jump in. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
get it.
this is a 10/10 album for me, and I can't say that about necessarily all of the Zeppelin albums. They're not all, some of them aren't quite perfect, but for me, this one is.
Well, I mean, for me, I've always said music comes to you when it comes to you.
Hmm.
I, as a kid, could not understand The River from Springsteen.
Okay.
As a 10-year-old, I couldn't get it. I started to understand more as a 17-year-old,
Hmm.
and now I think it's one of his best albums,
Hmm.
if not his best, is his best album. So for me, this album, I love it for its rawness,
Hmm.
for its potency, for its daringness to go all over the musical map. You've
Sure.
got the blues, the hard rock, the acoustic, the folk oriented, the East Indian influences. You have all that wrapped up in 44 minutes and 45 seconds. So with this album, the only thing to do mentally is to strap yourself in and hang on to the railing, because if you don't, you're going to fall off the roller coaster,
Sure.
right? And that's a whiplash I
Yes.
don't want to experience.
Yeah.
But I think that as a debut release, I think it ushered in a whole new genre of. I think it ushered in the movement of album-oriented rock, and the music business wouldn't be the same after this.
Yeah. And part of that is because no studio interference, no record company interference,
If the if the
because their manager was a bulldog.
Yeah, if the record company ever tried to interfere, you had Peter Grant at the door saying, "Back off.
Hmm.
They're doing their bit. Back off. You'll get your album when you get your album."
Because I
Um,
bet the record company did not like the idea of Page producing it.
no, no. And let's be honest. Um, Having an in-house producer cut down the costs of record production,
Hmm.
because you didn't have to pay a third party points on an
Yeah.
album,
Yeah.
right? So it cut down the cost of paying a producer.
Sure.
And like again, the Tea Party, they're self-produced by Jeff Martin.
Hmm.
And he also said that EMI, when they were doing an album a year, um, let them do whatever they wanted to do. There was no interference from
Yeah.
the record company. So there is that advantage when you are a self-contained unit and you have that much conviction in what you're doing musically to do it yourself. Yeah, this album for me kind of went under my radar, and I think it kind of goes under the radar to a small extent for a lot of people.
Could be.
People think of Led Zeppelin and they think of Led Zeppelin 2 right off the bat. Boom. Um, but this was a good start.
Yeah.
It's powerful, it's unrelenting, it's in your face, it's Led Zeppelin. Let's just put it that way. So,
Absolutely.
all right, ladies and gentlemen,
Very
there you have it. Episode one of Band Spotlight featuring the one, the only, the incomparable Led Zeppelin. Please put down in the comments below your opinion of this album, your memories of this album, what songs are your favorite, possibly, and let's go for broke. Would you resequence this album in another order? Would you, let's say, start off with Dazed and Confused as an album opener?
Would you sequence it different, Armando?
No,
Okay.
no. Um, I think it's sequenced perfectly. I think from the bombast of Good Times, Bad Times to the acoustic lushness of Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, to, obviously the drama and eeriness of Dazed and Confused. I think it's perfectly sequenced. What about you?
The only thing that I've toyed around with would be to end side one with Black Mountainside and open side two with Dazed and Confused.
Oh,
I don't know.
that would be
It's
interesting.
yeah, because then you have the palate cleanser at the end of page one, listen to me, side
Side
one,
one.
and then you open up side two really, really big. But
Oh,
it's just a thought. I'm totally brainwashed into the sequence that it is. I can't
yeah.
hear it any other way in my head, but
But that'd
I
be
think about that
interesting.
sometimes
I could
because
see that.
actually your time is going to come is a good opener for side two. It's just not one of the biggest songs in the album,
Yeah,
but they probably would have had an issue with timing on the vinyl.
yeah, probably, probably. You never know.
So yeah, but
Even though,
anyway, because Dazed and Confused being 6.5 minutes as opposed to 2:06 for Black Mountainside, it might not have been possible to do that. Um, I haven't done the math. I don't like math.
that is very possible. It is very possible. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again,
You have it.
please put your comments down on this release. And again, would you sequence Zeppelin one any other way?
Yeah.
Okay, you've heard Old Curmudgeon's version and opinion. You've heard my opinion of this album. Please put your opinion down below, and we will be back with episode two, Led Zeppelin 2 on Band Spotlight. Please click a like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves in the loop for any new content we got coming up. We are now on X. Please join us on X. And we're going to get more episodes to you as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Okay. We are in the throes of doing episodes for our album anniversaries. Bill Schuster is going to be joining us eventually for some more episodes. Eventually, we will be doing Outlaws and Heroes. But for now, please enjoy these episodes of Band Spotlight that we're bringing you. And we'll see you again on the music then. All right? Have a great day. Look after yourselves. And again, don't catch this cold. It's a bitch to get rid of. Have a great day. Bye for now.